Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ashu Mishra and I'm Vice President of virtualemployee.com. I've come all the way from India to Austin, Texas today to meet one of our esteemed clients, Mr. Blake Morgan. He is the President of Optimize Overseas LLC. You will find today's case study very interesting for three reasons. Firstly, you're going to learn what is cloud staff, cloud company and cloud office. Secondly, why with virtualemployee.com you're not outsourcing. And thirdly, how big corporations like Google outsource and offshore, and why you should too. So let's go inside and meet Blake. So yeah, hi Blake. First of all, big thank you for agreeing to meet us in Austin, Texas and share your experience with our viewers over this video case study.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Could you please introduce yourself and your company?
Sure. So my name is Blake Morgan. I'm the president of Optimize Overseas LLC here in the Austin area. And we focus on helping make business process outsourcing accessible to small and medium-sized businesses that may not necessarily know how to approach the concept of outsourcing.
Okay. And how many staff you've hired through Virtual Employee and what do they do?
We have currently 5 staff members with Virtual Employee. And pretty much all 5 are doing sort of different types of lead generation for our clients. We've got 4 of them who are focused on specifically the oil and gas industry, and they're generating sort of leads for those oil and gas companies to reach out to the people who they consider their clients. Separate from that, we have a financial services company who is using another one of our resources to generate leads for potential refinancing of debt transactions that are outstanding. So this involves the team members looking at really large data sets, being able to manipulate and understand the data, compare different data sources, and kind of come up with the golden nuggets that we're looking for, specific leads that we want. And then they even help initiate the process of reaching out to those leads and creating kind of a transaction point to potentially close business with those people. So the work has been absolutely fantastic, and we're really, really pleased with the whole team.
Okay. And what gave you the idea to offshore?
So I started this company following about 3 years at Google, where I worked previously. And while I was at Google, we had a team with Accenture, a team of overseas resources. Over the course of my 3 years at Google, I basically transformed my job 2 or 3 times over because we were able to sort of repeatedly take tasks, standardize them, and then have the team overseas help us with them. And I sort of began to understand the strength of this concept of outsourcing. They did a fantastic job, but I sort of realized that this is very approachable for large companies. There's whole teams at Google and at most large organizations that focus just on BPO, business process outsourcing, but for small and medium-sized, in some cases, businesses, it's very difficult to approach this concept. They don't know how you would even begin to think about potentially offshoring any work. So we help to bridge that gap, and that's how we got started with the company.
So basically, Blake, you're helping the smaller companies do what big companies have been doing for quite a long time.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Okay. And why did you decide to partner with Virtual Employee?
Well, we chose Virtual Employee after a lot of research of various vendors in India who could provide these types of services, but ultimately we selected Virtual Employee for 2 main reasons. The first reason is they're one of the only organizations that allows you to work directly with the staff who are going to be working on your project. In the typical sort of outsourcing model, there's sort of a project manager type of a person who stands between you and the resources who are actually completing the work. So you sort of come up with what your project specifications are, you tell this one project manager how it's to be done, and then if there's any misunderstanding about what exactly needs to happen, it gets multiplied by 10 when he tells all of the team who's actually going to be working on the project. And at Virtual Employee, you get to talk directly to the people who are actually working on your project. This Virtual Employee is one of the only vendors that gives you basically complete control of the staff that you work with. They don't attempt to project manage your projects. So being able to work directly with the staff that are performing the work that you care about is a big differentiator, because you can train them and develop them over time, and and help them be more accurate and do better work in general. The second reason is that Virtual Employee has a reputation of finding really, really good and really qualified people. The other sort of big differentiator at Virtual Employee is that they allow you to pick the particular person who you ultimately end up working with. With Virtual Employee is they spend a lot of time helping you to source people that are really, really appropriate for the particular type of position that you're looking to fill. I've looked through literally hundreds of resumes that Virtual Employee has provided me over the last couple of years, and we've interviewed dozens of people, and they've been extremely patient through that whole process, because they're completely on board with helping us to find the perfect candidate for the position that we want, because ultimately they know that in the long term that's only going to help them by having someone stay for a very, very long time and be successful in the role. So they take a lot of the risk with us of sourcing people. They don't make you pay anything for sourcing. You don't pay until someone actually starts working. Those two big things really set VE apart and kind of make it the quality approach, I think, to offshoring, as opposed to sort of the cheaper, more industrial approach, which oftentimes doesn't have as good of results.
So Blake, how would you summarize the difference between the outsourcing business model with virtualemployee.com business model?
Well, the difference in terms of the feel for the client is that it's like having a remote employee. It's like having an employee who is at your company and working right there alongside you, who you can train and develop and work with on a daily basis, except they're in India. That's the only difference. And a traditional outsourcing company, it would have that project management element to it, which is the person who stands between you and the team actually doing the work, which a lot of times can create problems and confusion, and you can't really develop the people who are actually doing the work for you and train them. And Virtual Employee allows you to do that. That's the biggest difference. It feels like you've got members of your team who are right there in the thicket with you, working on various projects, and they're communicating with you, because of technology these days, as if they're sitting right next to you, but in fact they're halfway around the world. They feel like a member of your team who's just happens to sit in India.
Okay. And what has been the biggest advantage, you would say, of using our services?
I think the single biggest advantage to Virtual Employee services is that when you work with Virtual Employee, you feel like you're working with a cloud company. And so, a cloud company, what I mean when I say that is, it's a company that handles all of the tertiary elements of having an employee for you, so that you can focus on the real reason why you're getting an employee, which is the core of the work that you actually want performed. If you think about sort of the hassle of having an employee, what is a hassle about it? Well, it's the HR, the payroll, thinking about taxes and all kinds of legal implications of having employees. All of this is handled for you so that you can focus on the core of the work. And that's in the same way that a company like Google has cloud platforms to help you collaborate online, and they handle the servers and the data centers that enable that, and you just get to focus on using the tools. Well, you just get to focus on having the employee at Virtual Employee. And that feel, that's why we continue to use Virtual Employee, and that's the biggest benefit.
And in the past, I think you have outsourced to Philippines as well. So how would you compare offshoring to Philippines with India?
I think the biggest differentiator between the Philippines and India is that India is kind of the quality play, and in particular Virtual Employee is the quality play in terms of offshoring. If you have a project that is really critical, really important, you need someone high caliber to work on it, who's well qualified for the work, and is going to have to develop over time to get better at the task. It's a complicated task, as most projects are these days. Virtual Employee is a no-brainer. In the Philippines, we've, in the past, we've taken some simpler work there, and we have some fantastic people that have worked with us consistently over time in the Philippines. But in general, simpler tasks tend to go there because we don't have, it's much harder to obtain high caliber people in the Philippines than it is through virtual employee in India. So that's why we keep coming back to VE. Virtual employee is really the quality play. If you want to take your project somewhere that you know it can be done correctly, it can be done accurately, consistently, high quality every single time you need something done, a particular task or project, this is the guaranteed way to have it done correctly. It's not the cheapest way, it's not necessarily the fastest way, but it's the easiest way to find someone that you know will be able to perform at a high level consistently.
Okay. And have you also worked with other companies in India?
We have actually worked with one other main vendor in India, and that did not work out very well. You know, at some point we had several folks. Like I said, we have 5 now with VE, and I think at some point, you know, we were going to add a 6th person, and we thought, you know, we started with VE. We should at least be able to say that we gave some other vendors a chance to kind of to see, you know, how it compares. And we need to, you know, not stay so isolated to this one vendor, and just make sure that virtual employee really is the haven that we think it is, so to speak. So we ended up giving another vendor a shot. They gave us a quote which was extremely exciting when we first saw it. It was much lower than the quote that any quote we'd ever gotten from virtual employee. So we were excited by that. But what we figured out really quickly is that you get what you pay for. And unfortunately, with this other vendor, we had to terminate the contract after about a month and a half or 2 months because you know, the person that they put on our project was absolutely unqualified, didn't speak English very well, and ultimately, you know, we ended up leaving that vendor behind. It was a waste of time, it was a waste of money, and it was a big lesson learned, which is, if you're going to do a BPO, you need to be really careful about who your vendors are and focus on vendors that promise the quality, not the cost. Because if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I mean, the work was abysmal, and that's because the effort up front to source someone really, really good, it just wasn't there. And virtual employee does that. We took the tasks to a virtual employee and was able to find someone really great to do it there. So the experience at VE has been superior to anything else that we've tried.
So Blake, would you like to share any advice with our viewers so they avoid getting their fingers burnt while looking for offshoring partners?
I think the biggest piece of advice I would give someone new to the concept of offshoring is that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. There's a lot of vendors out there who will give you whatever quote you want. I mean, you can say you want to spend $100 a month on somebody, and somebody will show up and say that they can do it for that, but you get what you pay for. And you know, by no means is virtual employee the least expensive option out there, but that's because they're in it for the long term with you. They want you to have somebody that's going to be able to perform on the tasks that you need performed, and is going to deliver, you know, quality results for a very, very long time and develop into someone who's even more valuable to you over time. So you know, that alone is a big differentiator for VE, and that's the reason that we stick with them. As a general rule, India is kind of where we tend to go for the quality play, and virtual employee in particular. If you need a project done right the first time and you need to find someone highly qualified to do it, virtual employee is going to be able to provide that for you. It's by far much more approachable than outsourcing to the Philippines. Having a virtual employee at VE is a much easier experience, and the quality of the work output is almost guaranteed. I mean, it's fantastic. So it's like the Rolls Royce of BPO.
And how is the experience and results of working not just with the virtual employee, but with virtualemployee.com as a whole has been?
It's been absolutely fantastic. Virtual employee has been extremely good to us in terms of sourcing people. You know, the main services that virtual employee as an organization provides, in my understanding, or at least in my experience, is sourcing the people, providing IT support on site, and obviously the physical infrastructure, the building there to work in, as well as an HR team to monitor the staff and to make sure they're showing up to work and doing what they should and such. And on the sourcing side, I'll focus on that because the sourcing team has found extremely qualified, really, really good people for us. They've taken really good care of us, found fantastic folks. They're very patient if you have to go through many iterations of interviews, multi-round interviews, and the billing doesn't even start until you select someone and they're working at Virtual Employee. That's a big important difference between Virtual Employee and other companies because it's very rare that an outsourcing vendor or a Virtual Employee vendor like VE would offer that kind of a service where they're taking the risk with you of not finding someone. You guys have provided ongoing support to us, direct access to senior level people at Virtual Employee if we want to try new types of tasks, new types of projects, and we want to see if that's viable, the kind of thing that someone that Virtual Employee could recruit, could work on. I just want to thank you for a great experience that we've had, so much appreciated.
And how's the results been working with your staff?
The results have been absolutely fantastic. I'm extremely pleased with the work they're doing. Our clients are extremely pleased with the work they're doing. They are consistently developing in their skills and growing. They're doing more and more and more and more complicated projects because they're building on the understanding that they've already developed over time with us. And the only reason we're able to do that is because we're able to work directly with the person who's actually operating the project, working on the project. So that's made a big difference for us.
How do you work with your staff in India?
Our whole organization is on Google Apps. So we've got the whole set of collaboration tools that Google offers, including Google Drive and all the Google document functionality that's in there, so you can have shared spreadsheets, shared documents, shared presentations. And the big difference with these tools is that as our staff works within them, we can actually monitor them working as they work. It's in real time in the cloud, so we can sort of follow along with what they're doing. We're always looking at the exact same documents. There's no version problems. And also Google has a chat mechanism that allows us to chat with our staff and stay in communication all the time, even on our mobile phones and their mobile phones. We have shared calendars through Google Calendar. So that suite of products has been really key to helping us feel like we're working with someone who's right next to us or right down the hallway, but in fact is on the other side of the world.
So would you recommend Virtual Employee Services?
I would absolutely recommend Virtual Employee Services to anybody. Virtual Employee is the quality play in business process outsourcing. It's if you've got something and you need it done right and you need a really qualified person to work on it, Virtual Employee is by far the best experience that we've had in finding a person like that. Like I said, we've tried some other vendors in the past and we've just not been nearly as satisfied with the results. We've learned our lesson. I would absolutely recommend Virtual Employee Services to anybody who's looking to approach offshoring for the first time or for the 100th time. Virtual Employee can deliver really quality people, quality results, and a successful overall offshoring effort. No question about it. I think they're the only sure bet that I know of for getting something done right in India.
Okay. And is there anything else you would like to add for our viewers today?
I highly recommend Virtual Employee Services. We've had an absolutely fantastic experience with them. They've been very, very reasonable with us over time as we've had very strange requests and different types of things we wanted to try. I think it's a no-brainer. We love Virtual Employee. I would just like to add that I've been very, very pleased with you in particular, Ashu. I've had a great experience with you personally, helping me out with a tremendous number of requests that I've had for crazy different things over the last 2 years. Virtual Employee is always extremely accommodating, even for the most obtuse or unusual request or unique type of person that you're looking for to fill a position. And I owe so many of those resolutions to you personally, Ashu, and I thank you so much for all your help.
Thanks again for meeting us and taking time out for this, and it was a pleasure.
Yeah, an absolute pleasure, Ashu. Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion today, there are 3 main points to take out of this case study. Firstly, by running a cloud company and hiring cloud staff, you get to focus on the bigger picture, which is working with your staff, not working for them. This is possible because we manage everything on your behalf, your office and your employees. Secondly, with virtualemployee.com, you're not outsourcing, but rather hiring your own in-house staff that works from your office in India. And thirdly, when the biggest and most profitable organizations have offices in India, why shouldn't you? With virtualemployee.com, now you can. Thanks for watching this and best of luck for your future endeavors.